Hello everyone. I'm reading to you today a seasonal reading for Christmas from the second Pennywhite adventure, Pennywhite and the Cult of Unicorns. You ready, Tilly? Shall we begin? I'd only just sat down before a loud crash resounded through the house, followed by loud swearing in Welsh. My spoon clattered to the floor as I rushed from the kitchen to the living room. The scene that met my eyes was almost unbelievable. Lights were on the floor and tangled over shredded Christmas cards. The tree was slumped against the bay window, decorations scattered in all directions. I glanced at the tank, noting that the lid was off, and then looked for Clyde, and found him under a tree branch, a half-chewed bauble poking out of his mouth. The snail spat it out when he saw me. "Christmas!" he said happily. Peter and Elf were right behind me. "That's it, mate," Peter told the snail. "You wait till my mum gets here. She doesn't take to anyone misbehaving." "Yup," said Elf with commendable aplomb. "You're in for it now. I suggest you think up your apologies sharpish." Clyde's eye spot swiveled between us. Then he bumped the ornament away, slid under a branch, and drew in all but his tentacles. As Mags entered the room, he shivered. And then, to my amazement, he let out a pitiful cry. "Tree fell!" Mags hurried over and fell onto her knees. "You poor little thing," she said soothingly. "How frightening for you. Are you okay?" Clyde slowly extended his body, trembling as he did so. "Scared," he whimpered. "Tree fell." Mags gathered the snail into her arms and glared up at us. "Penny, Peter, you should know better than to let him out when there's no one to keep watch. What if he'd been hurt?" I was torn between amazement and annoyance at Clyde's acting ability. Brown waves of satisfaction were pulsing along his body. "But," Peter started to protest. "I'm taking him through to the kitchen," Mags announced. "I'm certain something to drink will help." "Beer?" Clyde suggested. Then he let out a small groan. "Is beer good for him?" Mags asked. "He's had it before," I said. Mags headed out of the room. As the snail was carried past me, I shot him a glare. I might have lost this battle, but the war was far from over. "I can't believe he's just got away with it," Peter said as he straightened the tree. "The little chap did look mightily scared," Elf told him. "Look around, Dad." Peter started to clear chewed cards from the floor. "Does any of this look like an accident?" Elf shrugged. "You know what your mum's like around animals. I tell her that pets are better looked after than me." "None of her animals has teeth like Clyde's," Peter muttered. I hurried to join her in the kitchen. A bowl of brown liquid was on the counter, and Clyde was slurping happily. A greasy smell made my nostrils twitch, and I turned my eyes towards the oven. The snail stopped drinking long enough to tell me happily, "Chips!" "It's what he asked for," Mags told me. "I found some oven chips in the freezer. I'm sure it'll cheer him up." Clyde was already far too cheerful for my liking. I'm certain it will. The men joined us several minutes later. "Oh, chips!" Peter said eagerly as a baking tray came out of the oven. "They're for the snail," his mother said, batting his hand away. "And how can you be hungry after all that turkey?" "There's always room for chips." "Hungry," Clyde whispered. I wondered whether I should enter him into the animal equivalent of the Oscars. And so the entire plate was placed in front of a mollusk, while the mammals are only permitted to watch. "My, he does have big teeth, doesn't he?" Mag said, as Clyde tucked into the potato wedges. Then she looked over at me and cleared her throat. "He Flinty from Flugger. Yes, I admitted, he's a snail shark. What a dreadful name for such a wonderful creature. She rubbed a hand along the glossy shell, and Clyde let out an approximation of a purr. Do you have the time to look after him, Penny? I'd be quite happy to take him home with me. I saw Peter's face pale at the idea. Is that a good idea, Mum? I mean, with your guinea pigs. Guinea pigs, Clyde burped happily. And chickens. Chickens, came Clyde's pleased echo. And the rabbits. Rabbits, and I'm certain I saw drool tremble in the snail's jaws. We do have plenty to be getting on with, Elf said to her. And you wouldn't want to part with him, would you, Penny? No, not really, I said slowly. Clyde swallowed his chip, raised his head, and tipped his eye stalks towards Mags in a winsome manner. Go home? But if that's what he wants to do, Mags continued. Snail sharks can be dangerous, I said quickly. It wouldn't be a good idea. Really? Clyde had bumped his shell up under her hand so she could stroke him again. He doesn't seem that dangerous to me. Peter grabbed me by the elbow and dragged me into the hallway. You need to stop this now, he whispered urgently. Clyde eating all of my mum's pets would not go down well. And I think our grandson would adore him, we heard Mag say to Elf. Never mind what would happen, Peter continued grimly, if he tore a limb off my 3-year-old nephew. I thought quickly, can you sneak around to the back? Let out one of your rabbits without your mum noticing? Peter studied me for a moment, then nodded. Got you. I'll go now. Clyde was lapping up beer and kindness when I returned. I gave my glass of wine a longing glance, but decided that I needed to avert possible calamity before indulging myself any further. So, Jerence Smith, I said brightly, as out of the corner of my eye I saw Peter duck past the kitchen window. Which doctor do you think worked best with her? I really liked her with the 10th, said Elf, both in school reunion and in the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. John Pertwee, Mags declared, although the scriptwriter changed her character between the Time Warrior and the Invasion of the Dinosaurs, made her far less feminist. I guess the producers just weren't ready for a strong female. Isn't that why they got rid of Liz Shaw? Peter dashed back. I prepared myself for my own Academy Award-winning scene. Whew! It's warm in here, I said. We need some fresh air. And I cracked the back door open. As I had hoped, the rabbit was grazing on the short grass. I returned to the couple, who'd moved on to discussing Unit and Kate Stewart. So Mags didn't notice as Clyde, spotting the animal in the back garden, slid off the counter and across the tiled floor. Although I knew that the rabbits were raised as prey for Terran, I still felt a pang of guilt at what I knew was to come. A high-pitched scream made me grimace. What was that? Elf asked, glancing around. What was what? Mag asked. And where did the snail go? Clyde! Where are you, Clyde? Moof! And the snail flowed in, a bloody mixture of fur and flesh gripped in his jaws. He swallowed, then said with great satisfaction, Rabbit. Oh, sorry, I said ruefully. Did I mention that these snails are carnivorous? He does love a bit of rabbit. Mag's mouth hung open. You're not taking him home with us, Elf said firmly. Clyde raised his head. His eye spots slid from Mag's frightened face to my determined one. Then he slumped back outside to finish off his meal. So that was Clyde the Snail Shark at Christmas. All of the Pennywhite books are available on Amazon, both for Kindle and for paperback. And Tilly and I wish you and your family and friends a happy Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Thank you for listening.